It is. It is. So what do you guys want to? You want to talk a little homework, maybe?
Yeah, let's do some homework.
A little homework.
Up.
Let me find it so we can timestamp it for old Double T. He likes to have that stamp. Here we are. So I picked the homework this week. This was my pick. I picked it off of. Thank you, Tony. I picked it off to SummerSlam 2005, and the reason is there was a couple different matches I thought about going with from SummerSlam 2005. I still think this is the best SummerSlam. And I'm not sure if it's close. I know it's definitely my favorite, but I think front to back and top to bottom, oh yeah, you can give me SummerSlam every day of the week and I'd be a pretty happy guy. I think it's got a little something for everybody there. And I went Hulkster and HBK. One of the things I loved about this feud was the build to it. I thought it was some of Shawn Micheals' most entertaining heel work. Provide a lot of comedy, a lot of fun. And, Hulkster, he wasn't bad either in the build. We can all agree that as far as the build, it was predominantly Shawn Micheals driven. But I thought the match was fantastic. I don't know. Hand job, you're the guest. What did you think of old Hulkster and HBK?
Well, when you bring this match up, my immediate thought is the cartoony cells from Shawn Micheals, which is pretty prevalent in the match, but not as prominent as I thought it would be. It was a lot of Shawn on top. It was a lot more serious than I remember it being. One of my main takeaways, though, is, Hogan, how beloved he was in this time period was just crazy, especially when you look at where he is today. But I don't know, man. I guess people were just happy to see him back. They didn't like him in '93 or whatever when he left, and then he came back, and the whole Rock and Hogan thing, obviously. And it was a very interesting atmosphere to hear Shawn Micheals booed and Hogan cheered over him. It's interesting.
They were a lot less split than I remembered. A lot less split than I remembered. There was still a split, but it was definitely closer to like an 80-20 as opposed to the like 50-50 that I remembered.
Right.
The intro, I don't know. I still when you hear Real American, I still get pumped. Like as soon as it comes on, I want to run around, leg drop just inanimate objects around my house. I get fucking hard
Ripping
on
your shirt off.
Oh yeah, the whole thing, man. I still get pumped for that tune. And the intro with the giant fucking flag behind him, well played. Like the optics of that intro was fantastic, and the crowd was, like I said, it was at least 80% Hulkster cheering. We want Hulk before he comes out. Shawn did a great job even on his intro. Like he came out, he did his whole bit, but he wasn't as animated. Like you could tell he was trying to get into the heel form.
I don't think he was that heelish in his intro because he goes down because this is like prayer Shawn Micheals, right? So he gets down, he prays, so that's one thing that I noticed right away. And HK, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can go back on.
No, and I know that I think who's it? Bowers said that Lillian was getting all sopped up when HBK was coming down. I didn't pick up on that. I don't know if you fellas did.
So I hate Chap Shawn Micheals, by the way. Hate it. I hate Shawn Micheals wearing those fucking leather goofy gimmicks. Shawn Micheals died to me when that happened. One thing I also wasn't sure about before I watched this match was whether or not Hogan had transitioned from Voodoo Child to Real American. Because I know at some point he did come back to Real American, but he used Voodoo Child even with the red and yellow on. So that
not in WWF.
100%.
He did.
No way. No
when
way.
He was champion. When he was champion in 2002, it was Voodoo Child.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, I seem to remember him coming out with like the flashing strobe lights and shit and the smoke.
Yeah, he was still doing the red and yellow boas, and he came out to Voodoo Child.
It's dubbed over on Peacock, but
okay.
Right. So that's why I was really excited to hear Real American.
Okay.
So that kind of popped me a little bit, but to me this match is just I kind of disagree with I think it was HK or no, I'm sorry, Handjob that made the point. This match was all selling to me, all selling and then blood. And there's nothing wrong with that for me. To me, this match was the perfect marquee match. And the fact that it went on last, not as a title match in 2005, was pretty dope.
Yeah, and if you look what JBL and Batista did before it. Look what Ray and Eddie did before it. They did well. This whole card is fantastic. But to the match itself, I remember watching this live and with an old buddy of mine, Big Nick, who's a giant wrestling fan, and the first thing he said was, "This is '90s Michaels. This is the Michaels I want to see right now." And to his point, the selling was fantastic on his part. I mean, Hulkster's never been a giant sell machine by any stretch of the imagination.
But Shawn Michaels like slapped him in the fucking head like twice. That's like the best like selling like Hogan can do. Like if someone slaps you in the fucking head and you're Hulk Hogan, like
Right.
and you're taking
Pretty
it, that's
brutal.
selling.
Yeah.
Isn't the story that Shawn was pissed that Hogan was going over? Isn't that why he was doing all the goofy selling?
See, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, I watched this with every intention of calling this shit out. I don't know where that came from. I didn't think Shawn Michaels was overselling this at all.
It was a little bit in the beginning, but like I said, it wasn't like all throughout the match.
Well,
Like,
but that's the thing. Like, so Hogan's got the jump in the beginning. That's always like the 80s work. Like the babyface got the advantage, and the heel cuts him off, does something treacherous, and then he starts beating on him. So Shawn overselling at that point makes 100% sense. But I always remembered that people said like, "Oh, Shawn made him look stupid. He just oversold everything." I didn't think that was the case at all.
well, the boot at the end was a little suspect, though.
Yeah,
Like
but,
he runs around.
but overall for this entire match, like
Yeah.
I don't think it was like a disgustingly like terrible oversell at all. I
I'm
don't
with you,
think
Tony.
so.
And like even like in the beginning of the match, like Shawn Michaels takes a bump to the floor, and it's kind of like it's eccentric, right? I don't think it's over the top, but Hulk Hogan immediately like minimizes it by taking his bandana off and just throwing it at him.
Yeah.
Like that totally neutralizes the overselling because like Hogan's just like, all right, I got you, but now you're outside, and now I'm just gonna show my disgust with you. So I'm more like, I wonder if it's just because we're older now and we've watched this match a bunch, and all we see is the rhetoric on social media about the overselling that Shawn Michaels potentially did. But I'm with Tony. I don't think it was that egregious. I was selling for the sake of selling, and it was good. I don't think it was egregious and like hurtful.
Yeah,
I
I mean, go ahead, HK.
I actually think that they're doing one over on the internet fans to garner more engagement in the heat in the match itself, and I think it's probably one of the first times we'll see that. I don't think that there was real animosity towards these two going into this match. I don't think there was any animosity towards Shawn, not going over. I don't think any of that. I think they played into it to get people to believe a little bit more. A lot like earlier in the card, it was Edge and Matt Hardy. They had made amends to that point, but they let them beat the fuck out of each other in that match. And it was
watch the whole show.
It's an amazing show. But that was also in one of those situations where those two guys they've made amends at that point, but they wanted to feed into it, and it garnered a lot more interest in the match itself. I think that this match, same way, with overselling all that kind of shit, so people can go, "Oh, see, no, it really is that. It really is. It gets more interesting that way." You know what I mean? And I think it's one of the first times that they're really kind of leaning into that shit.
So my biggest problem with the match was, so this is one of those turns that Shawn Michaels did, right? They have a tag team match. He super kicks him. He wants to face Hogan, like, because he's one of the guys that he's never beat. And they do a good job of saying that when they do the whole handshake bullshit. But I hated the handshake bullshit. But I understand why they did it, because they immediately had to turn Shawn Michaels back to a good guy. Like, so that part bothered me a little bit, but not enough to take away from the enjoyment of the match and hand job. I want to get your opinion on that and this. This is the era, 2005, where we're seeing Hulk Hogan bleed way too much for the sake of bleeding, because maybe he can't do much anymore.
Yeah.
But this is like the Hogan era that like, all right. And we see it in TNA later. We see it when I don't need to see Hulk Hogan gushing.
Yeah, I do. I mean, blood at this point was a little more rare, and it wasn't like rare, but
Right.
like I think it fit in this show, even though there was some blood on the rest of the show. But I think it added to the intensity of it. Like, this match was a lot more intense than I remember. Shawn Michaels like doing everything he could to make him bleed, running him into the post and like the mounted punches. Like, it was very like uncharacteristic of Shawn Michaels. I mean, him being a heel. I mean, this is like the 1 month he was a heel during the entire run. So it was interesting seeing that side of him, and I thought it played off well for his heel character.
I really enjoyed the match kind of start to finish. Like I thought there was going to be a lot more for me to kind of pick apart. There really wasn't. One of the things that I did think of while I'm watching this match is a lot of the best matches, the matches I enjoy watching the most, are when each guy is trying to make the other talent look better. When you're selling for the other guy is always like, it's always going to make me enjoy the match that much more. And I think, Hogan sells as much as you're going to get from him, I guess, to a certain extent. And HBK is one of the all-time sell artists. So from that standpoint, loved it. One thing that I do got to mention, my wife looked up and saw the match, and she goes, "What is happening? He's got red hair. He's not supposed to have red hair." And then she goes, "Gross." And then she looks over, she goes, "Oh, sorry, I already took my gummy." I went back to reading. But like, just for that moment, for her to look up and go, "Whoa!" Like she grabbed onto it for at least a little bit, and then like she stayed with it for a little bit, and then went back to reading. But it was interesting enough for her, even as as casual of a fan as it gets. She pretty much will only watch wrestling when she goes see it live, but it was enough for her to look up and stop and watch for a little bit.
I will say this, and the crowd was as electric as you could have ever imagined for a main event match. They never stopped. Oh no! Did someone put something in the chat?
Yeah, I gotta throw this in here. Tropical says, "Wait, Hogan gushing? We're talking 2005 WWE or hidden camera footage with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife?"
Everyone deserves a second chance, my friend.
That's right. What the fuck was I talking about?
Gushing.
No, I wasn't. That was that was a stranger, Al, whoever he is. I don't even know.
Never heard of him.
Oh, the crowd. The crowd was fantastic throughout the entire match. They never sat down, it seemed like, for me. And it was also funny seeing like people in the crowd in 2005 with like the disposable cameras, like taking pictures and shit. So that came out to me and stood out a lot. Oh, there was something else.
That's one thing we don't get anymore. Watch Hogan body slam Andre at WrestleMania 3. The thousands upon thousands of flashbulbs going off. You just don't get that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have like the moments with like the phones out and it looks cool for like a second, but like the spontaneity of like who's taking a picture where and when they're coming from in this different parts of the crowd, that's something that is 100% truly lost. Not just in wrestling, just like in the world. Like it's different. What the fuck was I going to say? I had another point, but then gushing came up.
Hogan with the table spot, body slamming Shawn Michaels on top of the table. Shawn Michaels at one point shoving Hogan in the back and Hogan just standing there because Shawn really didn't put enough oomph into it to send him into the post. Just silly little things. I mean, this is 2005 Hogan. Like, we're already 10 years removed from the 95 Dungeon of Doom just before NWO. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We're on the 18th hole here.
Yeah, this is like another year from now he winds up in TNA and like he barely wrestles on that TNA run. Then he has his major surgery. So like this is like Twilight Hulk Hogan at this point, really.
Yeah, and until we get Michaels too.
And still getting the job done.
Yeah, until we get Mr. America.
Well, like the significance of this, like I watched this when I was 12 years old, and for the first time.
Jeez.
So
12, really?
I was 12 when this match happened. At the time, I knew who Hogan was, but
I was 12 for WrestleMania 2.
Congrats, go King Kong Bundy, right? Knows that one?
Yeah, Mr. T.
But like
Clara Peller, the Where's the Beef lady. Remember that? Remember Where's the Beef, Kyle?
I don't.
Is 2 Ozzy or Alice Cooper? Which one?
2 is Ozzy. 3 was Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
But like in rewatching now, all this old wrestling and like the timeline I'm in, 97, where both guys,
2005.
all this ancient relics, you got to dust off the hieroglyphics to even like comprehend it. But to see them where they were back then at the respective tops of their companies, but like completely different wrestlers, it was interesting to see like the styles clash between the two because you couldn't get any more opposite wrestlers, really. Well, I guess you could, but like still, like high flying Shawn Michaels, the most flamboyant, like that guy, and then just Hogan doing the Hogan special.
Boyhood dream.
But yeah, so it was interesting to see like what kind of match it would be, and it was more of a Hogan match than a Shawn match, I would say. But I think they did a good job at kind of making their own thing.
For sure. And Shawn Michaels did every like dirty trick in the book to stay with the advantage, which is what he had to do.
I think the one thing that I could have gone without is 2 ref bumps.
That's the point I was gonna ask.
Didn't need a single ref bump in this match.
Glad you bring that up. That first one, it didn't really, because like the ref took a bump, but nothing happened, and then another ref just came out. So it was really like for no reason. I'm wondering, like, was that on purpose, or did that just happen to be how it felt? Because wasn't that like the forearm boot collision, and then everybody just kind of fell on each other?
Flying forearm.
Yeah,
and then he rolls to the outside. Yeah,
I'm gonna say that.
I thought, I would think so too, but it's just weird that nothing came of it. I don't know.
That's very possible that they just got lost in their spot.
Feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Hogan and Shawn getting lost.
Right. I thought that after I said it, I was like, wait a second, Hogan and Shawn going to get lost in their spot, but it did take a while for the next referee to run down, and then once the next referee was down, they did that second ref bump spot, which it's like after the first one, you thought something was going to go down, and then they bring the second referee down. So it was a little peculiar, even if that was the way that they were mapping that out. It's just kind of, that part felt strange. If I was going to eliminate one thing from the match, it would be multiple ref bumps.
Yeah. And it's funny that they called it out too. Like they were saying, like, are there even any referees left at this point, coach? Coach went out of his way to say that. So
that's another thing I could do away with. 3-man booth with coach.
No, I don't think coach did it. I don't think he did a bad job. I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
The 3-man booth with coach.
No,
I don't like 3-man booth.
I was okay with it. You didn't like Tony, Bobby, and Mike Tenay?
Tony's non-existent.
You didn't like Bischoff and Larry and Heenan? No.
But look at the parts that you're putting there, Tony. Look at the parts.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
Bobby.
But there's nothing wrong with Jonathan Coachman. I thought it was fine.
I generally don't dislike him. I just didn't like this 3-man booth.
Okay. I guess we'll agree to disagree.
It's a little unnecessary. I'll tell you that. But I can't say that it was like something that bothered me during the match.
That's how I feel about AEW. Unnecessary.
Whole existence.
It's funny though, you know how like in the later years we've been kind of critical about JR and his commentary style. Like you kind of get a glimpse of that here watching this match, saying like kind of going a little inside baseball, like saying like Hogan like did it one last match. Well, we hope it's not his last match. And then like Shawn Michaels, well, we know it's not going to be his last match. JR was like a little insidey for me, and that's where we know JR always likes to keep the realism in what he's calling, but you get the hint of JR becoming what we kind of criticize him for now in the latter years, even though I think he's done a better job of it. But I just noticed that too.
Nobody's more inside than Tony Schiavone, and it's annoying as hell. Why
wasn't Excalibur in fucking Australia? Do we know that?
He's a criminal, isn't he?
Excalibur? Sockface?
Well, it was a Collision show, right? And I don't think he's usually on the Collision shows.
Oh, okay.
So around the horn, home, yeah. Little thumb up, little thumb down, little thumb.
Oh, thumbs up.
Simultaneous, not opposites.
Sure. You know what? Double thumbs
up. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this match was good, and like I said, the crowd energy totally magnified how good the match was, like in the ring. And for a Hogan match in 2005, I don't care if he's in there with Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle or whoever, like it was dope. So I'm gonna go back and watch the whole show now. So
it's a great. I highly recommend going back and watching that entire show.
I don't know if I put this in the main event slot though. You think they made the right call doing that?
So what were I know we touched on it briefly. What were the title matches? Were there 2 brands at this point, or was it just a universal?
Yeah, there was 2 brands. You had JBL and Batista,
Is Kurt
Yeah.
Angle and Benoit or
I think it's Jericho and Benoit.
It's Jericho and
Not Jericho and Angle.
No, it's Jericho
No.
and Cena. No, or is it Kurt and Cena? It's Cena.
is that's not the triple threat where it's Cena, Shawn Michaels,
Golly, if we only have, like,
Jericho
a-
and Christian?
Cena and Jericho. Cena and Jericho.
Okay.
Okay.
You got Randy and Undertaker. You got Kurt versus
Yep.
Eugene. You got the Ray and Eddie match. Edge, Matt Hardy, Benoit, Orlando Jordan.
Spoiler
mean-
alert. Spoiler alert. A hand job. Who goes over in that Kurt Angle Eugene match?
It was a rousing 4 minutes, 34 seconds, and Kurt Angle wins.
Okay.
By the way, Christy Hemi's out there with Eugene, in case that factors in.
It does factor.
Yeah.
It does.
X
See how
Factor.
many
You know what? Then I guess you do have to put that in the main event spot, right?
Yeah, I don't think anything. Nothing, especially at the time. This is such a dream match. The fans are rabid for Hogan. This had to be the main event.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you have to. I think you can put it in the middle of the card, a lot like they did Rock Hogan. And I
No,
think
Rock
but
Hogan-
that killed that neutered the main event though.
Yeah, well, the main event was also Triple H and Jericho, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that
Go ahead.
way that Batista and JBL worked their match together and the finish of that match could have easily closed the show.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah, for some reason, like Hogan, Shawn Michaels, definitely not on that Hogan Rock level. So I hope that didn't weigh into the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Yeah.
even Ray and Eddie could have. That was a super hot feud, so that could have even main evented if they wanted to.
I don't know. I don't know. My mindset is always world championship match goes on
Yeah,
last.
I hear you.
And Batista and JBL did such a great job with that match. I think it would have been fair to put them on main event.
And Tony, we're also 3 years removed from that Hogan Rock main event at WrestleMania. So Hogan Shawn Michaels at that point after 3 years probably seems just as big to me.
No, you're probably right. It was 3 years removed. Oh God.